how did you two end up meeting? How did you guys meet and then end up getting married and have 3 kids now?
So Kirsten and I met. We actually met online. We started talking online in 2012, and so we lived a few hours apart. And I found out that she was going to a concert in Memphis, called Memphis in May. She was going to go see a band that she really liked there, and I was probably about a 45-minute drive from Memphis. And so I was like, well, why don't we meet? And so we talked. I would say probably about 2 or 3 weeks. We kind of, text back and forth. And so I took her. We went to Rendezvous in Memphis and had barbecue ribs because I knew that I wanted to meet her, but I also really wanted to try those ribs. And so
ribs on a first date. Wow.
It was brave.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was really, really confident that this was going to go well because we're sitting there trying to talk and meet, and I've got this huge pork spare rib, but it was good. And we went and just kind of walked around downtown Memphis, and I knew
you made it out alive. You're still here 11 years later.
We're still here. I knew that night that I had met the lady that I was going to spend the rest of my life with.
Yeah.
So we dated, and later that year we got engaged, and we were married in 2013 in Pensacola, Florida.
Were you married June 30th of 2013 or June 29th?
June 30th. June 30th, 2013.
All right, 2013, not 15.
Nope, 2013.
2013.
10-year anniversary coming up.
10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
This year.
That's great, man.
It is. I got to get a trip planned.
Well, that's good. So in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
Believe it or not, I think the new habit that has changed my life is something that my wife and I have done in the last few months. And we've really tried to just become diligent on the habits and the rhythms of our family's life. And I think it's been phenomenal. From trying to limit screen time to having family dinners together to doing family devotions, just trying to really be intentional about the rhythm of our family's life.
Yeah.
And making sure that we're staying connected to one another, staying connected to the Lord. And I've noticed I feel more connected to my wife since we've been doing that. I feel more connected to my children since we started doing that. I feel more connected to the Lord since we started doing that. And I've noticed it in my own family as well. My children, the way they've acted, and it has changed. And not that I have wonderful children. I have the best children. But watching, seeing them, I feel like kind of get out of some of those struggles with technology and all of that, and kind of wanting to, kind of isolate after school. We're more open now, and it's because of those small habits that we've changed.
That's good, man. Yeah. And your wife said that John August is behaving.
Well, he always behaves.
Said that 5 minutes ago.
He's precious.
He's
always precious.
He's 1.5 right now.
I know, and he is just one little 2'7" tall little ball of preciousness.
Youngest is always the favorite.
He's not my favorite.
Okay.
He's just the youngest, and he can't talk yet, so he doesn't get his trouble as much.
Okay.
Well, I bet by the time he's 2.5, he'll go timeout a couple times a week.
He probably will.
Yeah, I know that's gonna come really soon, man.
And so I enjoy it now when he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So, what country would you love to visit?
Italy, for the food. I want to go and have real Italian food.
Yeah.
My wife and I have talked about this for years.
Some gelato.
Yeah, we want to, and we'll do it one day. We want to go, and I want to tour down the coast, go down like the Amalfi Coast, and I want to go through some of the different cities and try the regional cuisine. That's how I think about my vacations, though. I want to go places with good food. I get excited for Disney World because I want to try the good food.
Yeah, Disney World's great, man.
It is great.
Yeah.
And so I want to go try more good food. I'd love to go to Japan one day too, and try really good sushi.
Yeah.
The good stuff, like it's on TV and stuff.
Not just like Tokyo Sushi and Jasmine's Hokkaido. That stuff's good, but you mean like
that's good.
The real.
Yeah, like I don't want to go to Banks and get sushi. Like I want somebody that's practiced it for the last 75 years and is perfected. Like that's what I want.
Yeah.
Sounds great. All right, so who'd you say your favorite musical artist at the moment is?
here recently, I've been listening to a lot of Andrew Peterson. I enjoy his music, but there's a husband and wife duo out of Nashville called the Grey Havens.
Okay.
And they've actually been my favorite band for the last several years. I found them randomly. They had just put out their first album. It was a really tiny release, and I found them just on this kind of random Christian website that highlighted indie artists, and so I followed them and kind of watched their music journey for the last few years. So
Have you seen them live yet?
I have seen them live. Yep, I've seen them live, and they were excellent.
Where did you see them, mate?
I saw them perform alongside Andrew Peterson probably 2019.
Okay.
2019.
Okay, mate. So what are some bad recommendations you hear in your profession or area of expertise?
So in youth ministry, there's always a fine line, I think, between discipleship and fun. And so they're especially whenever guys are young, like, and first getting into youth ministry, I've seen guys fall on both sides of that. Not spending enough time in the Word, and then kind of taking all the fun away. And so, both of those things, I think there's a fine balance, with teenagers. Kids connect through experiences, they connect through shared experiences, and I think that's kind of where the fun comes in youth ministry and doing trips and doing events. But they also need to hear and be taught the Word. So both of those. And then the other bad recommendation is student ministry is lock-ins, because they're awful. They're the worst. I know teenagers love them. You guys, you're great, but I'm dead for the next 4 days.
Yeah. So that's why in the past several years there have been no Heartland walk-ins. There won't be any.
There was one.
Oh wait.
There was one.
Wait.
We did it as a laser tag event, and I
Okay.
did that because there was a staff that was hired to host that, so I could kind of rest a little bit.
So who hired? Was that like 2 years ago? A year ago?
It was before COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like January of 2020. We went down to downtown Nashville and rented out a place, and so their crew, they kind of handled all the laser tag games, and we just got to hang out and have fun, do karaoke. It was a really great night.
Okay.
So my next question for you is going to be, what are your favorite hobbies or pastimes?
Love to read. Big reader.
I always see on Goodreads you get Jeremiah Ross read this. I'm like, he's already reading another one.
I always have another book. I always make sure that I've got a list, so that whenever I finish one, I've got the next started.
Yeah, you have plenty of reads from mate. That's great.
So I felt like last year was a good year reading for me.
Yeah.
Just playing outside with my kids, playing baseball and stuff. I love. And then I guess personally, if I'm not reading or I enjoy writing, I'm a gamer. I love my Xbox, and I've got my vintage GameCube at the house, so I enjoy doing that.
All right, matey. So, what fact about you would surprise many of your acquaintances?
I guess a random fact that a lot of people don't know is that I have this special talent that kind of grosses people out. I don't really know why, but I can bend some of my fingers all the way back to touch my hand.
Wow, man.
I know, it's really nasty.
Wow. That's
Can you show us? Or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So like I could take this finger and just kind of go all the way back.
Wow. Yeah. I'm impressed. I don't know.
You've never had that before on the channel.
No, never.
Okay.
That's a first.
That's great.
Most people can't really think much. That was
the thing that
like
I
your
kind of
main
wonder
answer.
sometimes. Whenever I was a kid, it came in handy. We would play games like Mercy, where you're trying to like bend people's hands, because my fingers were just bend all the way back. So I was really good at that game. But I've kind of wondered sometimes, how did I discover that? Like, that's a really weird thing. So I don't know.
Yeah. So, who's your favorite author?
I enjoy a lot of writers, and a lot of it depends on the genre of what I'm reading. So, from Christian authors, I like so many. There's an author that had a big impact. J.I. Packer in his book Knowing God. So that was a huge. So I enjoy his writing. I love Tolkien. All the writings of Tolkien has impacted me. And then I guess from a nerd perspective, like just somebody that I really enjoy. I really enjoy Brandon Sanderson. He writes a lot of epic fantasy. Right now, he's probably my favorite epic fantasy author.
All right.
Okay.
Lewis or Tolkien? C.S. Lewis or J.R.R. Tolkien?
I enjoy both of them. They're both great. I like Tolkien better, but I enjoy C.S. Lewis.
I'm more of a Lewis guy, but I like Tolkien too.
They're both good. I mean, if it's fantasy, I enjoy Tolkien. Like I enjoy Lord of the Rings more than Narnia. But I've read most of C.S. Lewis's Christian works, and they're classics for a reason.
Yeah, I've read about 2 or 3 of his books in the last few years.
Yeah, they're very good.
Yeah, a lot of people love C.S. Lewis, and that's really great.
Yeah, they should. They should love C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
I personally, as far as books go, movies it's not even close, but I like the Narnia books better than the Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah, the Narnia books are classics. I read them before I read Lord of the Rings.
I did too.
And so, I mean, they're very nostalgic for me, and I enjoy. My favorite books, I enjoy The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis, which is his view and interpretation on heaven and hell. It is a wonderful book, and I like the Screw Tape Letters. I think that's a master class in explaining sin and temptation and the battles that we face every day.
Okay. Write that down.
Write that down, friends. Yeah.
My question for you is, if you could give 3 pieces of advice to college-aged adults, what would those pieces of advice be?
It's going to be okay. You're going to get through this. No, I mean that is a good piece. That is a good piece of advice.
Yeah.
Right now, when you're in college, you have a perfect time to kind of set up what your life is going to look like. And so I would really encourage you as a college student, focus on the habits and the rhythms of your life, because it only gets more difficult as you get married, as you have kids. So right now, what are your mornings going to look like? What do you do whenever you wake up? Are you spending time in prayer? Are you spending time with the Lord? I would encourage, even if it's just for a few moments, and make that a habit. You may not see that as being something transforming right now, but I believe the Lord works in those small, intimate moments with Him, and over time, God will transform your life. Right now, I think is a great time. If you want to go more practical, as far like financial, it's a good time to get into good financial habits. I would encourage you even now, start budgeting your money, start putting it away. Be very wary of borrowing money that's not going to pay you back. That's something that I've learned, since then. Like used to, I would borrow money to buy things that I really wanted, and spend something on fun. And so now, if I have to borrow money, like I think, if I've got to go into debt for anything, I want it to be for something that I'm going to get a return on.
Right.
And then I would be very diligent with your heart right now. As you're in college, you're preparing yourself for your future, and so your college years are a time to have fun and explore and go on trips and travel and all of that. But just be careful about giving your heart away too early. Just really think through who God has in store for you, and really prayerfully consider that.
And I think I heard Cameron Luker say this multiple times. College, money's yours, and then time's yours.
Yeah. Yep. And so life's not always that way. So I think now is the best time. If you can get in good habits right now with your time, with your money, and the way you handle your relationships, and really get grounded foundationally in those things, it's going to make your life so much easier going forward.
It's good advice.
Great words, mate.
Yeah. What purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months or in recent memory?
$100 or less.
Yeah. You can't think recent time, just think past couple of years.
I mean, I was gonna say that, like, some of it's funny. Like, I could give you funny stories of things that I bought, for $100 or less. Like, I bought this really cool popcorn bucket at Disney that, like, can spin and it sings to you, and it's just really fun to eat popcorn out of it. I bought a book. I bought it last year, and it was a book on your habits and book on protecting your time and all of that. And so it's one of those books like where I read it and then I put it down and didn't think about it until several months later. But I would say that was a book, and it only cost me like $8 on Amazon. But it transformed. I mean, if you can't tell, I'm a huge believer in reading. I'm a huge believer in investing in your own soul, investing in yourself. And so
I love reading too, man.
Yeah, that was a good. Books are always a good purchase.
Yeah, you're a different level though, but
I don't know about that.
So what was it called again? I forgot.
That was The Common Rule. Is the name of that book.
Okay.
Nathan suggested it.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
And there's also a book written by Nathan that I read last year. That was a
worthless book.
That was a worthless book. That's a good read. I would encourage you guys to read Pastor Nathan's book.
Yeah,
it'd be good to reread too, because I've read it once already. But it's good to read again. It's not very long, and he paces the chapters. Like, chapters don't feel too long; they feel just right.
I mean, just to sit down and really soak it in.
Yeah. And when I was reading Nathan's book a while ago, and he said like certain verses or certain sayings, I always think of his tone of voice when he said some of these things, and
like him yelling
him praising it and yelling it to the audience.
Like you read it in his voice.
Yes, I read it
too.
I read that. I can think of on Nathan's voice on what he's saying, if he's raising it or if he's doing a normal voice.
Nathan, we're still waiting for a follow-up or
another
book.
Nathan.
Maybe not a sequel.
We're waiting.
He's not on
anxious.
He's not on Facebook, but somebody, you see him out, tell him.
Russ will tell him. Yeah. Brother Russ will tell him, and Brian.
Yeah. Next question for you is going to be, so are there any quotes you think of or live your life by?
There's a verse, and I've had this verse ever since college, and it's Psalm 46. The Lord is my refuge and strength, therefore I will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its oceans swirl. I mean, that verse is one, because it's the psalm writer is describing, the literal crumbling of the earth, and if everything else that I have in this world right now were to be washed away from me, that God would be my refuge and strength, and that's one that I've carried through every good time, every conflict, every struggle.
Okay, Nate.
Reminding that God is my refuge and He's my strength.
Yep.
And if you guys have any other questions for Jeremiah, let us know in the comments and we will answer them shortly. Another question I have is, what is an unusual habit or an absurd thing that you love?
I don't have too many unusual habits. I'm pretty. If you wanted to just get into how nerdy I am, like we could talk about that. Like I enjoyed this flight game on my Xbox, and I couldn't just play it with a controller. So for Christmas, I got like this full flight joystick and like the thruster. And so whenever I'm playing, I've got a little tabletop that I set in my lap, and like I pretend like I'm actually like Maverick from Top Gun. And so that's just because I'm a nerd, and that's just who I am.
That's great. So, what are 5 books you would recommend to 18 and 25-year-olds?
The Pursuit of Holiness.
Okay.
By Tozer. Maybe he didn't write that. I could be wrong about that. The Pursuit of Holiness.
Okay, man.
Knowing God by J.I. Packer is an excellent book. There was a book that I read recently, Gently and Lowly, that I thought was that was a wonderful book.
Dane Ortland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a phenomenal book.
I think Nathan recommended that to me.
Yeah,
He recommended it to me
It's
too.
an excellent book.
Yeah, and we read it in college ministry last spring for 2 months straight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an excellent book. 18 to 25-year-olds.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Man, I'm
Is that
blank.
3?
Yeah, I've given you 3. I should know more.
But
Most
that's fine,
people
man.
struggle to name 1 or 2, so
Yeah,
you
there's.
could just do 3.
I like. There's one that I read. The Gospel Comes with a House Key by Rosario Butterfield that talks about welcoming people into your home, and I think that's a book for anybody to read.
Yeah.
That's just an excellent one. Well then, read something fun. College can be tough. Read Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. That's what Dwight Schrute would recommend.
Yeah. Good choice. All right. So, what advice would you give to a smart-driven college student about to enter the real world? And then what should they ignore?
Some of it I've kind of already talked about. As you know, if you're getting out of college, make smart decisions with your time. If you're getting out, and if you're here and you're attending, the church that you grew up in, and you're attending Heartland, get plugged in. If you've moved off somewhere, if it looks like as you graduate you're gonna maybe move off to Nashville or move off somewhere, don't just move and think later down the road I'll find a church. Make that a top priority of find some place, plug in, get involved. Even if it takes you kind of visiting and testing things out. I encourage that if you're in college right now too and you move off. We want you to come back to Heartland whenever you can, but wherever it is that you're going to college, find a place to plug into and serve. And then, when you get out, don't make huge purchases yet. Be wise with your finances, make plans, make budgets, think things through, and the Lord will work in wonderful ways.
Yeah. So, what's the story behind your profile picture? If anyone doesn't already know that one.
This is one of my favorite stories, and I'm glad I left it up. I should have taken it off months ago. If you don't know, my profile picture on Facebook is a picture of a mid-2000s Camry parked over a tree stump. And every year on the anniversary, I make that my profile picture, and I think I've got a little tag on the bottom that says "Never Forget," right?
Yeah.
Do I have something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably 10 plus years ago, it was more than that. I think it was before Kirsten and I met. We were visiting my grandparents in Alabama, and my grandfather had just cut a tree down in his yard, and he kept telling people that he had just cut a tree down. And my mom, as she decided to drive around the house, somehow, some way, drove over this tree trunk. And to the point where her car was almost balancing on the trunk with all these people inside. And it took several hours for them to get that car off. And so, it's just one of those fun moments that I will never, ever in my entire life let her forget.
Where were you at were you in the car when it happened?
I was not in the car. Praise the Lord. I was right there in front and watched it happen.
You snapped the picture.
My cousin did.
Oh, okay.
My cousin Graham snapped the picture, and he's the one who posted it. And I am eternally in his debt because of that.
And
She hates it too. She hates it every time I post it, which just makes me want to post it even more.
Yeah.
Because I'm a good son.
Yeah. Deidre might say some other
She may disagree with
She may
that.
say some other things.
DD might be
You
criticized.
might be a
over it.
little lower on the favorite kids list.
Yeah, I'm probably
John.
going to get a much lower inheritance one day because of that, but it's worth it. It's probably time for me to change it though.
Yeah, I think it'd be great,
A
man.
picture of me and
On YouTube,
my wife and
we'll put a
kids.
picture of it.
Yes,
there.
I'm gonna put a picture of it sometime
We'll
soon.
put a picture of it right now. I'm pointing to it whenever we put it up there.
Beauty, mate.
Yeah. So I'm gonna look see if there's any other questions. This is
Yeah.
your last chance to ask Jeremiah Ross a
This is
question.
it. You don't get another chance ever.
No.
Or you can ask him on the comments down below on YouTube.
If you ask me a question later, I'm going to tell you had your chance.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is your favorite Heartland Church pastor? That was the question you got.
Did one of the pastors ask?
Brian Phelps.
Good
Brian
evening.
Phelps? Well, then it's got to be Brian Phelps. I can tell you who it's not though, and that's Glenn Ross.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Brian's really your favorite?
Well, he's just saying it because Brian was the one that proposed the question.
Brian's probably the most talented Heartland pastor.
Yeah.
He's pretty gifted.
Yes. He's probably, I don't know how he'd be children's pastor. It takes a special calling, man. He does such a good job with kids ministry.
He's been doing it for 14 years
puts
now.
his-
He's the man.
Quite literally, his blood, sweat, and tears into the kids ministry, and all the pastors do in their areas. But man, Brian, it's something else. And if you haven't met him yet,
You should.
Yeah,
If
you
they
should.
haven't met him, they should meet him.
yeah.
There's only one Brian Phelps.
Here's a plug in the Night to Shine. So if you guys still need some help,
You should sign up.
sign up to help, whether that be a
Or go
buddy,
join us.
whether it be a buddy or there'll be help somewhere. So
Help clean up. You could just you don't have to help. You can just come as you go and have a dance with us. We'll be DJing Night to Shine first year ever. It's for special needs. Not only for special needs, but it's for everyone to join.
mainly for special needs.
Mainly for people with autism and Down syndrome and people in wheelchairs, but please come and help Night to Shine. We would appreciate so much. Brian would love for your help and just make time for it, man. Really.
All right.
Come on out.
Unless we get another question in the chat, I have one final question for
All right.
you. Is there anything that you want to mention or talk about that we haven't talked about?
Oh, man, we talked about a lot of stuff. I think I'm good. I've enjoyed getting to hang out with you guys though.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to the day that I would get invited. I knew it was going to come one day.
Yeah.
Today's the day.
Yes, it is, and especially
Tiny Homeboys episode 16.
yes,
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
There'll be more to come later this year.
Yeah. We have a couple people in mind that we're going to ask on maybe next several weeks. If you guys
Maybe
have
next
any
week.
ideas, let us know. And we'll ask Jeremiah afterwards. He'll let us know too. Like I said, I'm going to look at the chat one more time. If there's no more questions, I guess we'll sign off.
Good idea,
Let's see
AJ.
if there's any other questions. Oh, nothing. All right, that's it. Okay, AC, sign off.
Well, thank you for enjoying the video. Have a good Australia day and keep going and growing. Keep on wiggling. See you guys.